What's up? How you doing? Here we are, Saturday. Very nice day today. Slightly breezy, but perfect temperature. Gonna try a new beverage today. Never had it before, so Curiosity Cola. Fentimans. Botanically brewed. Traditional since 1905. Established 1905. So that's what it looks like. Now, for me, it's a plus that it's in glass. I don't know if it's placebo or whatever, but for me, anything in glass tastes better than plastic. So I always look for glass and ice. Got a little melted in here. Hold on. I don't want to dilute it. All right. Now, has a nice screw on top, so you don't need an opener, a bottle opener, or anything. Very cola-ish smelling, and I want to say it's more like a Pepsi. Has a bit of a Pepsi smell to it, but stronger. Nothing like a cold beverage on a nice hot day in the shade. Remember those commercials years ago? Country Time Lemonade had a guy in the back, old man with his grandson. Maybe they were on one of those swing set things, or maybe the old man was sitting in a nice chair relaxing while the grandson was running around, and he would be sipping some Country Time. Brings back good memories. My grandfather, both of them, I don't think they ever drank lemonade. I don't remember anything like that. Exquisitely crafted, 9.3 fluid ounces, 275 milliliters. So, yeah, it's got a good aroma. Very good. Now, it doesn't really taste like a Pepsi or a Coke. It has a bit of an overtone of a Coke, but not exactly. But, you know, I like it. I recommend this. Not exactly what you expect, but then again, I didn't expect anything. But so I will say, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, that for me, I prefer Coca-Cola from Mexico. The one that says made in Mexico, that Coca-Cola. I prefer that one over the Coca-Cola made here, and definitely over Pepsi. Now, if I had Coca-Cola from here and Pepsi from here, I still pick Coca-Cola. But the Coca-Cola I enjoy is the one that's made in Mexico. And that one even says uses cane sugar, pure cane sugar. So yeah, beautiful day today though. Kind of reminds me when I was a kid hanging out in the backyard, you know, just enjoying the nice summer break. But back then they would ruin it for you, you know. You thought you were in the clear, and then the last day of school they would say, oh, by the way, we're going to pass out a sheet of paper. It has a list of books on here to read. You got to read 5 of them. You know, you want to read what you want to read. You don't want to be forced to read something that someone else has picked for you. That takes out the fun. So they would pick out these books for you to read. I remember in the 5th grade, one of the books I had to read was Freaky Friday. You know, it's enjoyable. You know, I like the concept, but once again, I want to pick what I want to read, especially in the summertime. You know, sit there reading, everybody's outside running around, and you're inside there. And I think the best, I've tried reading in bed. You know, you're lying down, you get the book up here somewhere. At some point, your arms start feeling tired. So probably the best thing is at a table, nice light, got the book here like this, or down here. I remember many years ago, I must have been like 3rd grade, going into 4th, and my father went and bought these I don't know, metal things where you could put your book and then put this metal grip on top, and you could read while the book was held for you. I don't know, after a while it was a nuisance, had to undo it, flip the page, put it back. So, and they used to say back then, reading is fundamental. What does that mean? Reading is basic, the basis for everything. I think you could self-educate yourself. If you know how to read well, you could pretty much learn anything, because most of the stuff you've learned in school, other than language and basic math and, you know, the basics of all the subjects, you forget over time, unless you constantly keep educating yourself in those subjects. But you know, how many people remember all the prepositions in English? You know, I remember we had to memorize all those. We had this teacher who was very, very good in English. You get teachers, and some of them you're like, all right, looks like they go home and look everything up because they don't know it during class time, or you ask them a question, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up for you. But this teacher I'm speaking of, she knew everything inside out. Had a biology teacher, he was kind of like that, although he was halfway crazy. Something wrong with him. I remember he was a little bit off. And I wasn't the only one that noticed. When I got a little bit older, I ran into a teacher who I never had in high school, but he recognized me. I knew who he was. I never had him though. And we brought up this teacher's name, and he goes, yeah, something was off with that guy. I go, yeah, we noticed. Anyway, Fentimans, established 1905, says served chilled. It's chilled. So yeah, this is for me, it looks like something Doc Brown would have invented. So let me see what's going on here for a sec. Yeah, so this whole week that went by, I was kind of glued to the internet watching anything about the Titan submersible there. And number one thing I want to mention, I don't understand the expression, and I think I've used it in my life in the past, but I've always found it ridiculous. When people say, like, say there's some kind of situation where you're searching for somebody who's missing in the mountains, or a plane crash, you're looking for survivors, and you get somebody who comes out and says, we're hoping against hope. What does that mean, you're hoping against hope? Okay, I'm hoping that they're alive. Now I'm going to hope against that? What does that even mean, I'm hoping against hope? And everybody says it. Watch people on the news, they're like, oh, we're hoping against hope that they find them. Makes no sense. Hoping against hope. So I was watching, and I believed when I first heard the story that they had died immediately. Once the signal was lost, that's what that meant, that they had died, because that thing depressurized, and death from such a situation is instant. you don't have time to worry. You know, people thought that maybe they were in there sitting and worrying and tapping and, you know, trying to breathe in and concentrate on meditating so that they would breathe less air. But I felt that based on what they were saying, that these people had died instantly. I was watching a video on YouTube. Somebody was describing what happens to the body at such a depth, at 5,500 to 6,000 psi, and death is instant. Body turns into like jello, and then just, you know, breaks up. So I don't know, I love adventure, but I think that they should have asked for the safety tests. You know, make sure that they tested that submersible. Maybe it should be submergible. But yeah, it's a tough situation, and better that they went that way in comparison to being in there and just suffocating to death. You know, maybe you know, they're breathing, and 5 days later nobody has found them, and all of a sudden they're just breathing carbon dioxide and they're suffocating. That's much worse. But yeah, very sad story. But I love exploring. You know, if they had something that was guaranteed in terms of safety, and I know you can't guarantee everything, but I would like to go down there. There's another one that's even deeper. Something that sank in 1944, 45. It's like double the depth of the Titanic. But they show images of the Titanic and the debris. You know, not from now, but from other times I've seen. And you'll see like a pair of boots, pair of shoes down there. How does a leather, over 100 years later, still survive at the bottom of the ocean where it's cold, salty, a lot of pressure, and yet you see a nice boot? I don't understand that. You know, I understand the imploding part where you have to have a cavity that's vacant or full of air that's at normal PSI, 1 PSI, and then all of a sudden you have the ocean at 12,500 feet down, and you have that PSI, and there's a conflict, so things get torn apart. But when you see a boot down at the bottom, and they tell you, oh, the only reason it's in good shape is because they use a chemical, they treat the leather with a chemical that prevents the bacteria from eating it up. I'm like, okay, that does it for the bacteria, but what about the salt? Or the pressure? Or just the fact that it's been wet for over 100 years? Things like that makes you, they make you ask the question, why is that? Yeah, it's pretty good. I used to watch Jack Cousteau. Famous explorer. Had a cool accent. And then John Denver was taken along for a ride, and he wrote that song, the Calypso. Very inspirational song, uplifting. Felt like you were training for a Rocky fight. And then he went into a, experimental airplane, I think? John Denver. But yeah, the Calypso. I would love to go on a yacht ride. Could be a big boat, doesn't have to be a yacht, and be taken to extreme locations on the planet, like an uninhabited island. First start off with the tropical ones, and then work our way down to the ones by Antarctica. Down there's a lot of them. There's also a lot in Korea, South Korea area, but those, somebody told me who's from there, that a lot of those are occupied by the underground element, a lot of illegal activity. So you end up there, you may not, you know, get off the island. But you know, that's the thing. You explore remote locations, and there's a chance that you may not make it back. That's the gain and the loss in life. You gain by, you know, going to places that you're curious about and exploring and enjoying that. But the downside is that you may not make it back alive. You know, dangerous. You know, like people that go out into space. So, what else can we say? Other than the fact that it's very, very enjoyable today. Very dry. None of that nonsense with the humidity, which I cannot stand. Not a fan of humidity. You know, I like a little bit, you know, where it's the comfortable kind of humidity. You know, maybe you're at like 60% humidity or something like that, but I cannot stand it when you're at 95%. And you're sweating just by the fact that you're thinking. Had a little kitty in the backyard here for about, you know, a couple of weeks or so, and now it would hang around here all day. I put some food for it. Obviously, that's one of the reasons it would hang around here. Now I don't see it anymore, and now I see it, you know, running around the front, the other side over there. So it's expanded its horizons. Expanded its horizons. It's like a teenager. Remember one time I was working at a place, and at the end of the day I had to bring out the garbage, and you know, so I collected all the garbage from the trash cans, and when I went to the big dumpster to throw everything away, I opened it up and it was full of raccoons in there. It was like a family of raccoons going through the stuff. I was like, how'd they get in here? Because the top was down, and I thought maybe somebody left the top up and the raccoons got in, and then they locked them in there by accident. I mean, it wasn't locked, it was just down. So I was the last one at that place that night, so I left a note for my boss, and I said, be careful, because I thought the raccoons would still be there the next day. There's raccoons in there. If you open it up, they're going to be in there, and I don't want you to get bitten. And the next day when I went in there, I asked him about it. He goes, they open it by themselves and they leave by themselves. I go, what, they know how to do that? So, they know how to do that. Today is a good day to go up on the mountain and have a nice cup of coffee. That's what it feels like. I have my peppers over there growing. The jalapenos are nice, but the other ones, the Carolina Reapers, I mean, it's gotten big and bushy, but I don't see anything yet. And then I have another one there. It's sweet and hot peppers. They're red. Those are about that big. Take one of those, chop it up, nice thin slices, a little bit of onion, slice that up, mushrooms, and a little bit of olive oil, put it in there, salt, pepper, you know, saute it, and then scramble up the eggs, nice eggs, free range, mix them in there, and have a nice breakfast. Always wondered, you know, not everybody pays attention to their mushrooms when they buy them, put them in, you cook them. What about if you had some sneaky guy who went out to the woods and got some magic mushrooms, you know, the kind that make you hallucinate, and then they went to a grocery store or say they're young, they're still living at home, and they wanted to play an April Fool's joke on their mother, and they mixed a couple of those mushrooms in with the regular mushrooms that their mother was making, and then all of a sudden, you know, maybe the father too had a little bit, and he started hallucinating. That would be hilarious. You'd have a camera going and you'd get all that. Yeah, I remember years ago, oh, I must have been, I don't know, late teens or something, and I went and bought a bottle of pepper spray, can of it, but not the one that's like a spray where it's, you know, like a gel, not that. I got the one that's a mist. And I remember I went into the living room, furthest point away from the kitchen, and I did a little bit of a, you know, just a little bit, and I, you know, took a whiff in it, got a little bit of choked up feeling there, a little coughing going on, and I did that, and then I came in the kitchen, and my mother was washing dishes in the hot steamy water there, washing and washing, and 15 minutes went by. I forgot about that, you know, the spray thing. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting at the table watching TV. My mother's doing the thing there with the dishes at the sink, and she starts coughing and doubling up, you know, like it was getting intense, the coughing. And then she turns to me and she says, "Did you do something?" I knew why she was coughing, but I said, "What do you mean, did I do something?" She goes, "Well, I'm coughing." She goes, I go, "Well, you coughing, maybe you have a cold." She goes, "No, this is different. This is burning my throat." So I go, I don't know what's going on. So then she sits down and she's still coughing, but you know, not as much. We sit down and my father's down in the basement, but he's coming up, and my mother has a table set up with spaghetti. LAPD. So got all the spaghetti plates there, probably a Wednesday night, Prince spaghetti, and my father comes in and he's in a rush to eat. He's hungry. Sits down and, you know, puts it on his fork, puts it in his mouth, big amount of spaghetti, starts chewing it, but I guess he's breathing through his nose at the same time, and he takes a whiff of that spray that I sprayed a long time before. Now it finally ended up in the kitchen. The thing travels like a little cloud. So he starts coughing, and you see spaghetti coming out of his mouth, out of his nose, and my mother's like, he did something. He's pointing at me. My father's all pissed off now. But anyway, it was a funny situation. So my mother went inside the living room where I had hidden the spray and found it and chucked it out the window. And I remember there was a lot of snow back then on the backyard there. Thing went into the snow, got buried. Many months later, springtime, all the snow was gone, and my mother's outside, finds it. And we had some neighbor, he had his windows open, and my mother sprayed a bunch of it, and the breeze took it into his house, and he was an older guy, he started coughing, and he called me up, and he says, "I think I have to go to the hospital." I go, "What's the matter?" He's like, "I don't know." He goes, "Something's wrong." So I went over immediately, and as I was going, I passed by my mother, and my mother gave me the signal that he's okay, but she had done something that was making him cough. Said, "I sprayed that stuff," she goes. And I go, "Oh, that's what's doing it? Okay." So I said to him, "Why don't you come out and get some fresh air, and if that doesn't help, then I'll take you," because I knew what it was. So he came outside, and he goes, "Wow," he goes, "I feel much better out here." So I went in his house, I opened up all his windows, and I made him stay outside for a half hour, just chatting with him. So then I said to him, "Are you okay now?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Much better." "I don't know." He goes, "That was strange." I go, "Yeah, that is strange." So we went inside after, and all that stuff was gone, and then he was okay again. But yeah, funny situation. All's well that ends well. Anyway, once again, Fennemans, established 1905. botanically brewed, served chill. It's called Curiosity Cola, traditional, and I recommend it. It's good. It's not quite Coca-Cola, but it's good. Like a little bit medicine-y. Then if it has some vanilla in here. 90 calories. 90 calories. But anyway, it says carbonated water, fermented ginger root extract, ginger root, pear juice. Sorry, two separate things there. Beet sugar, caramel color, and natural flavors, and caffeine. They never tell you how much caffeine is in here. Like, there's got to be something here. I don't know why they're required to tell you all the other stuff, how much sugar is in here, how much protein, the calories, the weight, all that. But when it comes to caffeine, that's like a secret. Yeah, there's nothing in it that tells you how much caffeine. Nothing. You know, here's another thing that kind of annoys me. You got all these people that go around, they collect, bottles, they collect cans, and, and people, at their homes, they will collect them in a bag and bring them back, and they recycle them, a certain percentage. I mean, I think it's a low percentage, but they recycle them, and you get, some money back for bringing them the bottle or the can, which you could have thrown away, but, they give you some money back. Now, when I was a kid, it was 5 cents. That was a long time ago. 5 cents. This product has gone up in price many times since I was a kid, but the return, the amount you get when you return it, is still the same. Most states it's 5 cents, with the exception of a couple of states listed back here which give you a dime. They're all 5 cents. Now, it was 5 cents when this thing cost 50 cents. They'd give you a nickel back. Now, it costs like 4 times that. And they still give you a nickel. So I don't know. Anyway, I will be back. I want to talk about bought a new bottle of olive oil, and I'm going to try it out. Looks good to me, so I'm going to try it out. But we'll wrap this up, and then I'll come back. That's it. All right, I'm back here. We're going to try some olive oil. Bariani. When I first looked at this, I thought it was Vinnie Barbarino, but it's not. It's Bariani. So, cold extracted, unfiltered, extra virgin olive oil. So, Bariani Oil Company, www.bariani.com. So, let's see how this is. It looks good. Extra virgin, and bottled. Was bottled March 10th, 2023, and Best By 12/31/2024. It'll be gone way before that time, but give it a that's nice. Good smell. Very rich. Wow. Nice. Good color. Good body. But the aroma is it smells like they just made it today. Got a little bread here. Pita. That smells good too. That's high quality. I've had a lot of olive oil in my life, different varieties, different brands. This one is top of the list. Very, very, very high quality. Dripping. Man, I love olive oil. I had a friend in the old days when I was in the 6th grade, and we'd go in his kitchen, spend a lot of time at his house there watching Good Times. After school I'd make a pit stop. His house was on the way to my house, and we became really good friends. We had a lot in common. We used to discuss everything, music, politics, everything. And he was from Lebanon. And I guess in Lebanon, for a snack, they would get pita bread, this kind or the other kind that opens up. And he took me in the kitchen and he said, you want some? And I said, sure. So he took olive oil, which his family was a big olive oil eater, and he poured it on my pita bread. And then he gave me oregano. And we sprinkled a ton of it in there and then wrapped it up and ate it. And I became a fan of that. Then I went to my house and I started doing it. And to this day, occasionally I do that. You know? And I remember him. So, if you're in the market and you see this, pick it up. It's good quality. Or you can go on their website and I guess probably buy it, or they'll tell you where to go and pick it up. Or maybe somebody will deliver it to you, who knows. Not one cloud in the sky. Nothing. One time a neighbor of mine called me up, and he was kind of, you know, looking for some company. I had just eaten, and he calls me up and he goes, hey, would you want to go and get a bite? And I was thinking in my head, I'm stuffed right now. Last thing I'm thinking about is food. But I said, yeah, sure, we'll go. So we ended up going to a little restaurant a couple of miles from my house. And he said that the only reason he wanted to go is because he wanted a nice cold iced Coca-Cola. And I said, okay. So he got his meal and I got mine, and it was good, but I just was not hungry because I had just eaten. And I was struggling to finish it. And he was like, "Arr," he was eating it down. And finally I finished it. But yeah, I was really stuffed that day. And then he told me, he goes, I wasn't that hungry. He goes, I just wanted a Coca-Cola, cold one. I said, well, had you told me that, I just would have gone up the street and bought you a bottle of Coca-Cola. There was a time when my favorite ice cream was chocolate almond fudge. And now, if I can find it, I get it. Chocolate almond fudge. Yeah. This is very good. I should have put a little vinegar in here, balsamic. But I wanted to try that on its own. Yeah, very fragrant, nice aroma. Zamora, California. Zamora. Good amount of calories. I don't know if they list them here. Talk about accuracy. 1 tablespoon, calories 126. I wonder if there was an argument within this company and they said, let's put 125. And another guy said, but I'm reading 126 on my measuring thing. He said we should be honest and put 126. 126 calories per tablespoon. Wow, you could have a meal, like, you know, half a cup. Half a cup of this mixed in with, you know, some vegetables, tomatoes, I know it's a fruit, cucumbers, peppers. Half a cup of that should be, you know, like 1,000 calories. But it's the good fat. It's monounsaturated fat, the healthy fat. That's it, we're done. So yeah, Bariani, highly recommend it. I like how they give you all the information when they harvested the olives, when they bottled it, and how much time you have until it's not as good as it should be. And nice glass, green, so the sun doesn't damage it. Remember years ago, who knew about olive oil? When I was a kid, we used olive oil. But if you went to a regular supermarket, they had Mazola, they had Crisco, they had that kind of stuff, but nobody carried olive oil in those places. You had to go to a specialty shop. You had to go to an Italian place or a Greek place or Spanish, Portugal, places like that. They had olive oil. Lebanese store had it. But if you went to a regular, like if you went to Ralph's back in the old days, they had like corn oil, they had vegetable oil, maybe they had canola. I don't really remember canola being in there, but maybe they had that. But olive oil is like, now they're discovering, people here is like olive oil, gotta find some olive oil. I want to tell them, you never heard of olive oil before? Like the whole world knows about olive oil, except people here up until recently, past probably since the 90s, not that long. I'm gonna take a look at my tomatoes and see what we have. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Got a tomato, I have one. Look at that. So we're gonna try it out and see how it tastes. Wow, that looks good. Look at that. Fine looking tomato. I don't know, when you go to Whole Foods, they look good, they just don't taste the same as the ones you have in your garden. Now, somebody will say, well, you just picked it off the vine. Even if I put this in the refrigerator and eat it a week from today, it'll still taste 100 times better than the stuff you get inside the supermarket. So I don't know. Do they pick it that soon that it's not ready yet? I don't know. All right, we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil here. I can even smell that tomato right now. It's really, really flavorful smelling. Nice aroma. Himalayan, Pakistani salt. I have it on low. Okay. So now we have the fresh tomato from the garden, the Bariani olive oil. We have whatever's left of the pita bread, and some good salt, pink. Wow. That's awesome. That's so delicious. Unless you've had tomatoes from the garden, you have no idea what I'm talking about. This is not that plain flavored tomato you get at the supermarket. Wow. That is delicious. I could sit here all night and just eat tomatoes. Man, I wish they tasted like this when you bought them at the supermarket. look at that. That's cut them a little smaller. Take more time to eat them. That flavor is so good. Anyway, I will finish this, and I may come back. You never know. All right, ciao for now.